Good morning, good morning. You know what today is? Monday morning chats with Sack. Sack is me. I hope that you guys had a great extended weekend. Now, most of you may be off and some of you are not, but hey, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. Today I'm actually off. I had a great weekend. It was a great weekend, and typically I usually do these videos between 8 a.m. to 8:30, 8:35-ish a.m. Eastern time every Monday. However, I use those extra hours to rest, right? To really rest. And it felt amazing. I took my alarm off and it felt good to just sleep in. So that's exactly what I did. But I hope you guys had a good weekend. This weekend consists of just seeing friends that I didn't see in a long time and hanging around family. Family is always important to me. So it was cool. It was really cool. So if I had to label this, I think it would be some of the things I've learned this year, right? Some of the things that I learned this year in 2022, right? From January to September. Now, they're not going to be in order. I'm just going to tell you as they come to me. And keep in mind that with these videos, I don't rehearse for these. This is things that I just think about and I just discuss it. So one of the things I will say is that the one thing that I've learned is, for me, when I go to an event, sometimes I do come late, and that's because I may be cooking something that takes some time, and then I live a great distance from wherever the party is at. But the one thing that I've learned is that if I stay just a little longer, that's when the party gets better. And so that's what I did. I got a chance to hang out with my cousins on Saturday, and typically I am the first one to leave early. And they're like, well, do you have any plans afterwards? I'm like, no. I'm an introvert, so most times I like to be around people. And then afterwards, I just like going home and looking at Netflix or catching up on shows that I didn't watch throughout the week because maybe I had a crazy week. Or if I'm at a cookout with my friends, they're like, Sakina, why are you leaving late? I'm like, well, I just want to leave. But I did something different. I stayed until the events were over, and that's when it started to get really live. And I was like, you know what, moving forward, I'm going to stay a little later at the parties because that's when it gets a little lit. It gets lit after I leave, and I realized that my cousin had a cookout about a few weeks ago, and I left early, and we talked about it last weekend, and they were like, yeah, around this time, that's when more people came. And they're like, what time did you leave, Sakina? I'm like 10:30. They're like, yeah, no, you need to stay a little later. And they're always trying to convince me to stay later. Sometimes I just want to go home and look at Netflix and just drink some wine and just go to sleep. That's just like my way to end the night. What else have I learned? So I teach, and I have a syllabus. Planned the syllabus prior to class, but I did make a note that that the syllabus is subject to change. And this past Thursday in class, my students, I felt like when I was looking at them as I was teaching, it was like a bus. It just hit them, right? Just a bus just hit them. And I looked at myself and said, am I a good teacher? Right? Am I a good teacher? What are they not doing right? What is something that's not connecting? And that was something I just kept telling myself. Now, I teach law students, right? And they're in their last year. And so I did have the expectation like, hey, there are some things that you should know, right? You should know these things, right? In your last year of law school, there's some things that you should know. Like, so if you're talking to a third-year student or a fourth-year student, and they're going into their last year as a law student, there's some things that all professors would expect them to know. And then I had to go back to the drawing board and say, well, even though they're supposed to know this, let me assume that they don't, right? Let me assume that they don't, because my goal is to make this a great learning experience. And my students said, this is one of the most challenging classes I ever took in law school. Like, they are terrified of me. They're like, Professor Tillman, I think you are intense. You're great. I mean, you're great. But this class is intense. Like, they let me know that all the time. And it was solidified during our conversation on Thursday where I did like a mock interview, and I interviewed a student just so they could get an idea of how to interview a client. They were like, "You're so calm. You are extra nice during the interview." And I said, "Well, you're saying I'm extra nice and extra calm in the interview. How am I as a professor?" And this one student looked at me like, "Yeah, sis, you don't play with us." But the thing that I'm trying to prepare them for is the real world. And they don't understand it now, but when they go out into practice, they will get it. You know, any job, regardless of what profession it is that you can't expect people to just give you, like, the key, right? You have to figure things out. Now, sometimes it may take a long time to figure out things, and that's where you ask for assistance. But I want you to try. But I let the students know, I will challenge you every single day. I will challenge you. I want to challenge you to be your best, because I want to prepare you for the real world. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how many statutes you've read, how many statutes you interpreted, how many statutes you're able to memorize. Your clients want to know, can you help them? They don't care about if you were top of your class. They really don't care about none of those things. Because you could be at top of your class and still be a horrible lawyer. And so I'm trying to teach you how to be a great lawyer. And that's what I teach them in my class. And so for this week, I'm going to do things a little differently. Go off the syllabus somewhat and just go back to ground zero. And make sure we all understand everything, right? They're all on the same page. Some of them don't read. I can tell. I was a law student before, right? So I could tell. And this is my third year teaching, so I can tell when students read. I can tell when they skim over things. But I want to teach them how to pick out the important things we're reading, right? Because it's about reading comprehension. How are you able to read 30 pages or 40 pages and you're able to pick out like the most important things? And that's my goal, is to teach them that. So another thing that I've learned, this is something I already knew, but it makes more sense to me now, is that you have the choice to decide how you want to feel today. So if you wake up and say, man, I'm going to have a bad day, you're going to have a bad day. But if you wake up and say, hey, I want to have a good day, I'm going to have a good day, then you are pretty much telling God that, hey, no matter what, I'm going to look at things from a positive aspect. I want all good things to flow to me. That's what I want. But when you say that you want a bad day, or you just say all type of negative things, you're pretty much attracting the negative energy. And so the goal is to be mindful of what you say, because your words are super powerful. You are what you think, right? You are what you think. I know me, I'm very patient. But sometimes I could get impatient when I don't see things happening the way I expect it to. And God has to like sit me down and say, hey, well, you said you want to have a good day. Why are you worried about this? Why are you worried about that? Focus on the good right now. And that's hard, but it's helpful. It's super helpful. And so another thing is, like, my phone, it has a way of like showing me different memories from, it could be from the month before, it could be from the beginning of this year. Like, it has a habit of showing me like different photos and different memories based on like different areas of the states or even from out the country, right? And so what I realized is that the beginning of this year, I would say January, I was still like learning how to control my emotions, because there were some things that bothered me, some things that hurt me, and I can tell, I can see it in my face, right? I can see it in my face. I was struggling with weight at time, because throughout my life I struggled with like weight gain and weight loss, and I could tell by the pictures that, hey, even though I had a lot going on and got this new job offer, like I was excited about it, but deep down there were some things, I was happy about it, right? But deep down there were some things I'm like, I wish this never happened, right? And you go through that in life. I wish this never happened. And I can tell when I look at my pictures, like, yeah, I was okay, but I know that I could have been better. And it's all about making a decision to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let this control me, whatever it is. I'm not going to let it control me. I'm not going to let it control my emotions. Like, I'm going to choose to be me. And so March, I made a powerful decision that, hey, you know, I know how to lose weight, but I want a trainer. Like, I had a trainer before 4 years ago, but I was like, I was there for 1 month, but let me challenge myself to stay in this a little longer. And I had a trainer for 4 months. By far one of the best experience ever. And what my trainer has taught me is how to eat. I love to cook, right? I love to cook. And it's all about portions. And I could tell that as I started losing weight, because I remember that the beginning of this year, New Year's Day, I got on a scale and it said 158. And I said, hell no. And then when I started working with my trainer, the lowest I got was 131. And I was like, okay, I'm not trying to be super skinny. So I've been maintaining my weight to around like 135. And it feels amazing, right? It feels so amazing. And then as I started to work out more, I just started feeling good. But then I realized, crap, I can't fit majority of my clothes. I can't fit majority of my clothes. My clothes are a little baggy on me, especially in the stomach area because it's like baggy. So now I need to get some of my dresses out and take them to the cleaners to get them altered because it looks different. But as I looked at this journey from March up until now, I don't drink coffee anymore. Now, I was a major coffee drinker. I have a Keurig and I have a coffee maker. And the coffee maker I have has like a single serving Keurig attached to it. I have not used it at all since March. Have not. And I think it's because I've learned to eat better. Like, I knew about eating right. I just had to be consistent. And I started to be consistent when I start seeing the results that I want. Like, okay, I got a flat stomach. Okay, I look good in this. And that felt good. And so when you feel good on the inside, it will show. And so as I started losing more weight, I started to feel even better about me and the clothes that I know I'm going to buy because it's still, I still got to do school shopping for myself. I still got to go school shopping for myself. And as I look at these pictures and I see the progress, it got to the point where I realized, hey, I love makeup, but let me like just leave it to the side. And I wanted to try like new like facial routines, and I did. And once I started like these new facial routines, I was like, oh, I don't need this foundation. And so it felt amazing. Like my skin, it feels amazing. And when I'm around people that I know, they're like, Sakina, you're glowing. And it's how I feel on the inside. And also my facial routine, because it is bomb, and I'm going to get some more facial products today. But it feels good. And so how you feel on the inside, it will show on the outside. It will definitely show on the outside. Another thing that I've learned is that great things, it takes time, right? Great things take time. And I'm working on an article, and at first I'm not going to say I was scared, but I kept saying, like, can I produce, right? Can I produce? Can I really make this argument? Because it's special to me, and I'm big on educating folks. Like, can I really make this argument? And there was missing pieces that I needed. And I just kept saying, can I get this? And I'm so grateful for my tribe in that the legal academia, the legal academy, because they've been so supportive. And the information that I need, I submitted a request to be mid-August, and I got approved at end of August for my request. And it was just like, this information needs to be out here. Like, I want to make a difference. And you can. The one thing, I'm not going to say that I've learned, but this is something in general, is that never take people for granted. I keep like having conversations with people, and they're like, yeah, I've been taken for granted. I've been taken for granted too. And I realized the person that you take for granted the most, that's the person that you're going to need. And most times people think that when you have this need, it is associated with financial. And most times it's not. Just imagine, having a good person in your life that encourage you to be great, and then you lose them. You will feel it, right? I told one of my friends, we were having a conversation, it was like girl talk, and I was like, I'm at a place where I'm happy how my life is unfolding, and it can only get better. And I would do wherever I can to have peace as my number one. And if someone disturbs that, they have to go. And I told them that, if I stop being friends with somebody, stop associating myself with someone, my absence will kill them. I don't have to. Honestly, I don't have to block them. I don't have to do nothing rude. Like my absence, they will feel it. But I know that any decision that I made is for the greater good, right? It's for the greater good. And I'm happy about that. And then, you only have one life. Live it. If there's an event, go. September, I'm doing stuff a little while. I'm actually going on a family vacation for a few days. And then come back on Sunday, only to go to court that Monday. I'm like, you know what? You only live once. I'm already prepared. Like, I'm prepared. But you only live once. So why not? Why not live? You don't know when your last day will be. I just read something this morning. I'm like that old lady, before I wake up, I gotta read. I'll, sit, be still, pray, and then I'll look at like the news. And I like reading, honestly. I'd rather read the newspaper than look at the news. And so I was reading on CNN how the CFO of Bed Bath and Beyond. Yeah, Bed Bath and Beyond. He killed himself. He jumped off a 11th floor apartment in New York City. There was no suicide note. He did this, I believe, while his wife was still in the apartment. And when I saw that, I was so sad, right? So sad that someone decided to end their life. And the first thing I could think of is that, man, you never know what someone is going through. This person is a millionaire, has all the money in the world, but was still unfulfilled. And so I challenge you to be kind to people, because you just never know. You never know if someone was off, if someone is like close to their breaking point. I had a traumatic call last week. And, people find, when people call me, they feel like I'm like the calmness in their storm for some people. And I'm positive. And this call was different. And this call, somebody called me and told me that I want to commit suicide. I never had this call before. And I had to have somebody pray with me, because I was like, how do you deal with that, right? What advice can I give somebody if they made up their mind? And I told someone that was praying with me that I don't know how I would feel if this person hurt themselves and I was the last person they talked to. I was like, I don't know. Like, am I ready for this role as a leader? Because this is a lot. And I prayed over it, and I was like, God, please don't let this person hurt themselves. The person is in great spirits now. And I say all that to say that kindness, it costs you nothing. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to people, and you just never know like what people are going through. So be kind. Be kind. Lastly, so I had a conversation with my cousins, and we were talking about being assertive. And my cousins, out of all my cousins, I'm the person that's known to be assertive. And when my cousins talk to their friends, like, Sakina was worse. And I was, because I would just pop off. Like, it didn't even matter. I didn't think. before I spoke. And I think there is a thin line between being nasty to somebody and being assertive. Being assertive is really being firm on what you're saying, but being mindful of what you say. It's okay to tell somebody that, hey, I can't accept this. It's okay to say, hey, you hurt my feelings. It's okay to say, hey, I will not accept this. And hey, you will not treat me this way. Hey, I can't accept this at all. Those things are absolutely okay. But when you start adding name calling and saying things that's just beyond the scope of your conversation, that can be a little abrasive, and that could just be a little aggressive, not assertive, right? And so I told them that, you know, I know how I want to be treated in life, period. I know how I treat myself, and I can't expect somebody to treat me the exact same way that I treat myself, because I pamper myself, I do nice things for myself. I just want you to treat me with kindness, right? And that's okay to demand it. And my cousin was like, you know, sometimes I just let it slide. Like, you know what? I'm not going to even address it. I'm going to just leave it alone. But I said, how would this person know how you feel if you don't speak up? I said, there's a time and place now. Like, I will meditate. I will pray before I say something. It may take me a week. It may take me 2 weeks. I just want to make sure that my mind and my heart is aligned. Because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And sometimes people can forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I'll admit, there's been times I said something that I didn't mean those exact words, but I did hurt somebody's feelings. And I had to go back and apologize. Like, hey, and I had to be very honest and be very transparent. Hey, when I said these words, I know that it hurt your feelings, and I apologize. My intent was not to hurt you or to hurt your feelings, because I care. I have to have those conversations, and let me tell you, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to have those conversations, to acknowledge your faults and hold yourself accountable, because we are not perfect at all. Like, we're absolutely not perfect. Like, I had to say, you know what? Here's what I messed up at. Can you accept my apology? Can you accept it? And sometimes people may not accept it, because some people, they accept your apologies not through your words but through your actions. So I had to show people that, hey, if I said something to you, hey, I'm not going to only tell you that I messed up, but I'm going to acknowledge that by making sure I don't do it again. And if I ever get to that point, I'm like, let me think. Okay, I'm not going to say that. That's not cool, right? And the one thing I've learned is that, yes, I'm direct. And I can handle when someone's being direct with me. But I had to be understanding and know that, hey, some people can't handle it. Just because I can handle it, it does not mean that everybody else can handle that, right? Everybody else can't. But yeah, and lastly, give grace. Give grace to yourself. Because a lot of times, you know, like I did a video last month about self-love and what does that mean. And what I think, I'm gonna ask my therapist, because I gotta wait till my new insurance finish processing so I can get my therapy appointment. And the one thing that I think is that when it comes to self-love, I think people love their self, but I think the reason why they sabotage themselves because of the thoughts they have about their self. Like, oh man, like, I'm not pretty enough, or hey, I made this mistake like years ago and I don't know if I'm able to be forgiven. And then I realized, like, you know, self-love, honestly, is really giving yourself grace. It's being able to look at yourself from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and say, damn, like, I did all that. But I still want to give myself grace and know that, hey, I'm a work in progress. Like, the woman that I was, the young lady, the kid that I was at 18 is totally different than 35. My thought process when I was 18 is totally different compared to when I was 18 compared to 35. Totally different. But that's the part of life. I expected this change, right? And I had to work on this. Like, I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always this soft woman. I wasn't always this person that was willing to show someone that I care. I wasn't this person that was open to receive love. I wasn't always that person. And then I had to realize that in life, hey, if I want the better things in life, I have to give it to myself first. And I have to acknowledge my own faults. And I have to give myself grace and realize that, hey, the person that I was years ago, I'm not that. And it's funny because you hear this narrative about how some women like to be independent and they don't need nobody. I always learn how to do for myself. It's this idea that you raise your daughters and you love on your sons. Like, I've learned that. Like, I've learned how to, like, do this. Like, learn how to cook at an early age. Learn how to clean and learn how to save for a rainy day. Like, I learned all those things. But just because I've learned those things, it doesn't mean that I don't need anybody. And I had a conversation with somebody, and one thing I realized that if you see somebody, whether it's a male or female, that knows how to take care of themselves, everybody needs somebody, right? I believe that we are better together. We are better in partnership. And when you see somebody that knows how to do all these things, and they're not, looking for somebody that's going to, like, help them do this because they can't do it, it doesn't mean they don't need somebody. They just want to know, like, can you support them? Do you have their back, right? Like, I see, things on social media, like, if this person ain't buying me a bag, then I don't want them. But I think about, okay, that's nice, you can have a bag, but I think about the things that matter the most to me. It's not a bag. It's about, hey, I have to research. Hey, I'm trying to get promoted. Or, hey, I'm doing a speaking engagement. Or, hey, I'm doing these things. Can you support me? There's times where I don't have it all together. Can I lean on you and you tell me that's going to be okay? Can you help take the load off of me if I'm having, like, a bad day? Those things mean more to me than anything, right? And last, like, as I go back to, like, the self-love and showing yourself grace, I've realized that the narrative about my life has drastically changed, especially when it comes to relationships. I remember at an early age, I remember guys telling me, like, hey, I'm doing so much for you. And it's like, you're not doing anything in return. Or I never forget one time I was 19, somebody called me self-centered. Like, all you care about is yourself. And honestly, it wasn't that was their point of view, right? And I respected that. But it wasn't that I cared about myself. I just decided not to show as many feelings as a way to protect my own heart, right? But the one thing that I've learned in life is that when you are open to love, you have to be open to get hurt. And that's the way it is. That's just how life is. Like, love is a risk. It is a risk. You're opening your heart up to someone with the expectation that, hey, I want them to love me the way that I would be willing to love them. But there may be a chance that they may hurt me. Unexpectedly or intentionally, right? Sometimes things are intentional, some things are unintentional. But that is life, right? But as I got older and I started realizing, like, hey, like, really reading the Bible about what love is, and then also comparing it to my own experiences, that, hey, love, when you love somebody, it starts with you first. So you have to love yourself. And those earlier stages, in my early 20s, I didn't know what that was, right? Didn't know what that was. But now, the last few years of my life, it's like I run into guys, like, maybe it didn't work out. And, some things are not meant to work out. And they would tell me, like, yo, you're the best I ever had. Or, I wasn't the man that you wanted me to be when I was with you. I had this one guy that we went on a few dates, and I could just tell, like, after the third day, I kind of just, like, cut his ass off. And I was like, okay, he's a piece of shit. This was 4 years ago. And, like, the good thing is, the one thing that I love that brings synergy with me with men is that I love football. Like, I'm the type where we going out on Sunday after church? What bar? I don't drink beer. A margarita will do. But I need to go watch the game. Like, that is just me. And so that is something that connected me to a lot of guys that I dated. Like, let's look at this game. Or, hey, I could come to your house, or you come to mine, like, who's cooking, who's making the wings, and we're watching the game. And this was last year I ran into the guy. Now, I would run into him here and there because, we know some of the same people. And then when you live in the DMV area, you start to see some of the same people. And it's very small. Circles are very small. But what he said to me was, this was out the blue. This was the day before my birthday. I was like partying the week of my birthday. And he said, hey, you want a drink? I was like, yeah, I do. He's like, walk me to the bar. And he was like, your friends, they want a drink, I'll buy them a drink. And I was like, yeah, get them a drink. And as I'm waiting for the drink, he came out and apologized to me. And he said, I know we had some history in the past. And he said, I fucked up. He said, you are a great woman. He was like, at that point, I was just not in the right headspace. I'm gonna just be honest. But you had every right to walk away from me. Like, he said this shit out of his mouth. And he was like, you know what? But you are a great woman. And any man that gets you will be blessed. But I messed up. And I just started seeing this narrative. I was like, okay, so now I'm not the problem. But the one thing that I've learned from each relationship is that you learn something, right? You learn something. Don't look at it as, oh, this person not my life, screw them. No, I mean, you learn something from people. And honestly, relationships taught me a lot about myself. Like, they're able to have a mirror in front of me and say, hey, you know what? Hey, you're doing this. It's good. You're doing great at this. But hey, this thing that you're trying to hide over here, you need to change that, right? You need to change that. But life is all about evolving and wanting better and trying your best to be better. And you have to really just trust the process. Trust the process. This year is almost over. And so I hope that you're able to look at these last 8 months and say, you know what? There has been some progress. And even if you take one step a day, it's better than taking no steps. And so this is just my take on 2022. I feel good. I look good. And I'm just excited about what's to come. And my birthday is next month. It's going to be literally like a holiday. I'm going to celebrate every week. I'm definitely going to do that. And I deserve it. And I'll start telling myself, I'll write in my journal and say, you know what? God, I want this. And I deserve it. And I'm not afraid to say that. I look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to have an awesome day. But that's all I have. I hope that you enjoy this Monday if you are off. I hope that you realize the true meaning of rest, and it is okay to get your rest. To all the dope men out there, it is Monday. So if you are a man that's watching this, I just know that you are amazing. You are great. You are phenomenal. And you have feelings, right? It is September, so take a man out on a date. So the woman that's watching this, I hope that you're able to take out a nice gentleman out on a date, and don't take them to Applebee's. That's cheap. Or take them to Fridays. Don't take them to Fridays. Don't take them to none of those type of chain restaurants. Do something nice. Figure out what they like and do that. If they are worthy, right? If they are worthy. That's all that I have. I'm going to finish this protein shake. This is my breakfast. And I'm going to go food shopping. Plan for Chili's. It's still a chain restaurant. Depending on where the person wants to go at, especially if they are in DC or Baltimore, I can definitely tell them some spots. That'll be great. But I'm about to finish this protein shake, do some food shopping so I can meal prep, and then get my facial routine. I want this face to stay going all the time. So take care, guys. Have a great Monday. Have a fantastic week. And just know that you are so amazing. Bye, guys.